Okay, so I want to make this video pretty short. I'm not really trying to make it long. So I would say it's so funny because I feel like this has been a very wild year for me, only because of certain things that have taken place within this certain amount of time. And I can honestly say that I wouldn't have expected myself to actually be where I'm at with my emotions because of how I used to, react to things all the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm still a spiritual being going through a human experience. Yes, I still do get upset. Yes, I get irritated. Yes, there's things that frustrate me. However, at the same time, I feel like now I have came to this point where I no longer am reacting to things like I used to. And I feel like that's one thing I really wanted to talk about is identity shift. I wanted to go more deeper into it because this is just beyond just manifesting. This is more of you actually learning to no longer allow your emotions to control you, but you to be in control of your emotions. And a lot of people don't have emotional regulation because a lot of individuals are so quick to say, oh, well, this is how I've been. This is who I am, which is a bunch of bullshit and it's excuses because at that point, you don't want to hold yourself accountable. At that point, you don't want to grow. At that point, you want to stay stagnant and stay stuck in the same position for the rest of your life. And if you want to do that, then that's totally fine. But one thing I've learned is that there are things that are outside of me and I cannot control what another person says. I cannot control what another person will do. However, what I can do is control how I react to what that person does to me or toward me. And one thing I want to say is Neville had mentioned this because it's like when we get to a point where you're just like, you know what, you're just calm and you look at how other people react to situations, how they're so quick to get angry, how they're so quick to, and don't get me wrong, it's okay to feel into your emotions, totally fine. But a lot of people are still stuck because emotionally they have not truly grown or matured in that state. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, absolutely not. But I am saying that when I see certain things or things that do make me upset or something that happens, I tend to just calm myself, take a deep breath and say, okay, Alize, let's not allow this to affect the rest of my day. Let's not allow what this individual said to me to make me feel as if though, I just can't go on and just have a good day. Maybe I was irritated in that time. Maybe I was frustrated. Maybe someone said something that pissed me off, did something that pissed me off. It may have crossed my boundaries. And at that point, instead of me reacting to it, not saying just only stay quiet. No, you can definitely assert yourself in situations if it really is like, if you're meant to actually assert yourself and say, hey, this is something I will not allow. Because when you put a boundary down, you're giving that self-respect to yourself. And that's a part of self-love. Because at that point, you're saying, I'm not going to tolerate this. And that's what a lot of us have do. We tolerate bullshit. We tolerate people crossing our boundaries, emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, okay? Financial boundaries. We tolerate it. And at some point, we've had this pattern, right? Where if someone crosses a boundary, we don't say anything. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the show Girlfriends, okay? Let's give an example. Joan, for example, Joan was my bitch, but I learned from looking at it from a godly standpoint, damn, that bitch was really sabotaging every relationship she was in. But anyway, I love the actress though. But Joan, let's talk about her character, right? In Girlfriends. You see how Tony was crossing her boundaries so many times. And when she finally went to the therapist told her, hey, you need to cut this person off, right? And Joan was like, oh, you know, I do this and da 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 da. How she's always the person where, you know, anything happens, we'll go to Joan. We'll go to Joan's house. If a situation occurs, oh, Joan's not going to get upset about it. Joan okay with it because she let everybody cross her boundaries, especially Tony's character. And it got to a point where it eventually got to this point where, if you've ever seen the show, you notice that her and Tony are talking, whatever the case may be. And Tony's like, if you keep seeing this therapist, we gonna have to stop being friends. And that right there is, that's emotional. I want to call that, I want to say it's emotional manipulation, because it's like she's saying, okay, what about my feelings? What about the situation? Blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And Tony only cared about her. Tony Childs only cared about her. She didn't give a fuck about nobody else. And one thing I saw about Joan was that Joan was so easy to run over because she had no boundaries. Her character was portraying this individual where, you know, I can't say no. I always have to say yes. And this is something where Neville started to talk about when he said, when you shift your identity, when you start to really look at yourself in a new light, when you start to say, I'm going to set boundaries for myself, when you start to say, I no longer am going to tolerate the disrespect, and you walk away from that and you're now seeing yourself in a new light, it's way deeper than just manifesting your SP. For example, I guarantee you, a lot of you people are afraid to walk away from your specific person. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you know that there is a friendship, a person, whatever, walk away from it. And I'm going to tell you, if you truly want that individual in your life and you want to manifest a new story, you can do that. But the reason I say walking away makes you stronger is because at that point you're saying, I'm not doing this no more. I'm respecting me and I'm putting me first. So when and I use that as an example because I've been watching that shit every single day. And I used to watch it when I was young. And I was like, why did I used to watch this? Now I know why I used to watch it. But now, like, actually looking at it while I'm older, is this mine? Oh, yeah, it's mine. It tastes like syrup. I now realize that I get it. Sorry, I just had to make sure it was mine. But anyway, I now get it. I now get it because it makes total sense. I see myself as like well, not now, but I saw my old self as Joan, the person that never could say no. Because everybody would be like, no, Alizé gonna be cool with it. Alizé gonna let it slide. Alizé gonna do this because this is what Alizé does. And at some point I have to tell myself, I have to say, look, not saying blame myself, but more say, Alizé, take responsibility. The reason people treat you this way is because you're allowing it. Stop being afraid to walk away from a situation that is no longer benefiting you in a good way. And what I want to say that is, excuse me, a lot of us are going to, you know what I'm saying? You want to surround yourself around individuals who are not just only celebrating you, but people who actually are respecting you and actually are valuing you. But how do you do that first? You have to first do that. You have to first have that shift. And if you notice that there's certain things, yes, it's going to be certain things in your outer experience that might test you, that might put you to the test and be like, okay, this happened. For example, Jane down the street, she stay calling you talking about Jimmy or whatever. She stay calling you talking about Jimmy, talking about how, girl, he cheated on her again, wooty woo, and you are her emotional crutch. Now, Jane don't care about you. She don't care about your feelings. She don't care about none of that. But because you're the type of person, you have no boundaries. So you're already in that version of yourself that I'm going to always be the yes person. Yes, this, yes, that. You can't say no. Remember, you are operating from a low vibrational state. You're not operating from a godly state. Because, baby, listen, a person who is in the godly state, they gon' know their worth. They gonna walk around, and I'm gonna say it just like Tony Childs. I know, because I don't like her character either. But one thing I can honestly say is Tony knew her worth. She may have been a bitch, but she knew her worth. So, you know what I'm saying? And you want to walk around like I'm literally the best thing on this planet, okay? Baby, listen, I don't care if you walk away from me. I don't care if you know. And so you can't keep allowing Jane to use you as an emotional crutch, because you're letting her know, like, okay, you know what, it's okay to come to me, it's okay to, mentally drain me, emotionally drain me. You're saying, like, no matter what, Jane already knows, oh, you gonna answer the phone, Lily, you gonna answer the phone. But it's okay to turn away. And I feel like a lot of us, we've had this thing where we have a certain pattern about us because we feel guilty. The reason you're afraid to say no, or the reason you're afraid to walk away, is because you feel guilty. Deep down inside, you feel like, what if this person doesn't ever talk to me again? Like, for example, let's use your specific person. Okay, have y'all seen in The Simpsons where Milhouse had the biggest crush on Lisa? Not the biggest crush. Milhouse was in love with Lisa, right? Lisa Simpson, for anyone who's watched The Simpsons. And Lisa she was sitting across from Milhouse or whatever. He was telling himself, like, I wish Lisa would come over here and sit with me for lunch. Everything that he was assuming was actually taking place after that, because Lisa came over there, but she didn't sit next to him. But she was all like, oh, I think we got the wrong lunch, because Lisa is a vegetarian. Okay. So boom, she don't eat meat. So then Bart had, I guess he got some carrots out his nose, nasty ass little boy. And then she said, never mind. Then Milhouse was like, I could share my food with you, Lisa. And Lisa was like, oh, okay, what you got? And then that's when she wanted that cupcake. And Milhouse was like, if I give her the cupcake, then that's basically like letting her know, like, you could have anything of mine. Like, I'll do anything for you, right? So boom, Milhouse said, nah, fuck that shit. I ain't giving that bitch no cupcake. Hell no. He said, no, Lisa, you cannot have my cupcake. And Lisa was like, Milhouse. And then she turned away, and then Milhouse started to think, what if she doesn't talk to me anymore? What if she doesn't say anything to me anymore? He started to overthink everything. Lisa came back and told him, I respect you because you said no. The reason she started to fall for Milhouse is because Milhouse started to have respect for himself. He said, bitch, I'm not finna give you everything that you want, and you give me nothing in return. You don't even give me an ounce of attention. So hell no, I ain't giving you my cupcake just so you could go back and keep ignoring me, bitch. Hell no. And see, that's why a lot of y'all are afraid to walk away from your specific person, because deep down inside, you feel that, oh, what if they find somebody else? What if they don't want me no more? What if they da-da-da-da? That's not what's going to happen. The opposite is what's going to happen. They going to be wanting you more than you want them. Why? Because you finally decided to gather the courage and say, look, baby, listen, I love you, but I don't want this. I don't want this. You only give me attention when it's convenient. I don't want this. You barely answer my text messages. I don't want this. You barely answer my phone calls. I don't want this. Oh, you know what? I'm not a priority energy. Ah, fuck all that. If you want what you want, then baby, you got to shift your identity. And what that means is you need to get yourself some self-respect. Okay, so that's why I come and I tell myself now. A lot of people could say, Alize, I'm still going through my own healing and certain things that do come up. But now it's way better than what it used to be, because I no longer see myself as having to be perfect. My imperfections is what makes me who I am. So that's why I know that I am enough for my person. Because my imperfections are what makes me who I am. Because at the end of the day, I'm still here and I still exist, bitch. And I exist and I deserve it because I exist. So therefore, I'm working on me. That's not for somebody else outside of me. I'm working on myself because it's for myself. Getting to the point of where you no longer need that person, because you don't need nobody to make you happy. You don't need anybody to make you happy. Stop holding on to these friendships if you want something different. And I'm talking for people who want to manifest something different. If you really do want to walk away from years of hurt and disrespect, then do that. It's okay to do that, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to feel so much more better about yourself when you start to choose you. When you start to say, you know what? I need to take a step back and reevaluate this whole situation, because I've been letting motherfuckers just stampede over my ass. I've been letting people just, I don't have time for that. Like, for example, when I go to work and certain things happen and I don't like, I tell my coworkers simply, sometimes I used to get upset to the point where I was just like, but now it's just like, look, can you have this certain thing, this certain task complete? Can you do this? And even still, if it's something that they don't do, instead of me getting upset, yelling and cursing and all that, because to be honest, I curse to myself. When I get pissed and somebody pisses me off, I'm cursing to myself because I'm the type of person where I hold stuff in. So at some point, it's like, don't get me mad. Please don't get me mad because I don't even know my own strength. But it's just more so like, for me now, I'm just like, okay, this situation made me mad. Let me try to work it through within myself. So the whole point of me making this video is to tell y'all, you'll know when you're fully in alignment, and you'll know when you start to not let things that are outside of you affect you or people, because nobody is in control of your feelings and your emotions and your thoughts but yourself. And if you can't control what other people do, but what you can do is control how you respond to the shit that people do. So remember, it's not just about just manifesting what the fuck you want, baby. No, ho. It's about you shifting your full identity into knowing what the fuck you deserve. Being that person that, no, I don't do this. Because your higher self has self-respect. Your higher self has self-love. Your higher self has boundaries. They're not going to allow things to just be. And it's okay to speak up. Because even something, I'm still going through that too. Sometimes I'll be quiet. Sometimes I'll be silent. And I'm just like, I don't even feel like I want to say nothing right now because I just want to, But let me tell you something, baby. It's going to take you a minute. And I'm not saying like, like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm still going through my own journey myself. But this is how you fully know. Like, you'll know when you've shifted out of that old state. Because things that once bothered me is like, even my mom will say, like, you're calm. Why are you so calm? Or like when I'm just chilling. Like my homeboy, he was like, damn. A situation took place and he was like, you were just so calm about it. And I was just like, I've just gotten to that point where I no longer want to keep upsetting myself, because at the end of the day, why would I want to allow somebody or something to upset me for my whole day? I have a whole day waiting for me. Just because somebody did something to me in the morning doesn't mean that I have to let that affect me until I go to sleep. Okay? So understand and remember that this is your movie. You're going to give everybody the roles that you want them to play. And all you have to do is be that bitch, because you are the one look, baby, you are the one that's controlling. You're behind the scenes. You're the one that has the camera. You're the director. Direct it. Okay? And baby, stop going where you're not celebrated. Stop giving people, stop. No, because a lot of you think that if I keep doing for this person, they're going to see me. No, bitch. Once you walk away, that's when they're going to chase your ass. And trust me, I know. Anyway, like I said, this was a daily dose and I'm done. Y'all done got the daily dose of your dose of tea. Bye, ho.